Hey, what's up, party people? Welcome back to Fresh Goods. It's been a while.
Hello.
It's been a hot minute.
Hot minute.
Hot minute.
Oh, wow. What did you do?
Yes.
There's been a bit of radio silence, but there's good reason for that. We've had a pretty busy time with youth camps.
Youth camp season.
And just, it was just good to step back and have a bit of a break. So, but we're back now. And I know it's been only a little bit of time, but maybe if you've forgotten who we are, why don't we just say our names, right? So I'm Jaro,
I'm Dinda.
And I'm Ethan.
as he's Ethan. So for those of you that are, watching our stuff for the first time, listening in for the first time, that's who we are. And as I was saying, did I say that short-term memory, that we had a bit of a busy month, right?
Yeah.
So actually, if you guys haven't already known this about us, we are all youth leaders. I think we say it quite often, actually. And four of us are involved in the same youth group, but Ethan here is involved in a different one.
Yeah, I'm a different boy.
Yeah, but I thought today would be pretty interesting maybe to even talk about our experiences with youth group, like why are we doing it? Because most of the time, like people on the outside, they're like, why do you want to dedicate your Friday nights to serve Jesus and babysit youth? You know what I mean? Like, I guess that's what an outsider's point of view would look like, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to go around and share about that a little bit, and we'll just see where the conversation goes, because I feel that this is something that we don't really have to really plan about, because naturally we talk about it all the time.
It's true.
Because that's our life.
It is true.
Because
we do talk about it a lot.
Youth leading doesn't just stop on a Friday night. It's a weekly thing. It's a 24/7 thing. Because at any moment in time, they could like just hit you up.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's true.
this and that, blah, blah, blah. You can't just take the hat off. It's like, all right, youth is over. I'm not youth leader anymore. It's not like that.
Yeah.
I go by the belief that even after leaving youth group, you're still a youth leader. Because for some of those people that were following you, they still see you as that person. Though you may still be like, I guess, graduate to friend,
Yeah.
but they'll always still have that, that guy or that girl was my role model, or like someone I looked up to. You know what I mean? So the hat never actually gets taken off.
Yeah, it's true.
But anyways, yes. So why don't we start with how long we've been in youth ministry? Okay. So we're gonna start with. Okay, we'll start with me.
Yeah, how long you been in the game, bro?
How long I've been in the game? Oh man, as long as I can remember.
This guy's a vet.
Oh,
This
for
guy's
real.
He's actually a
LeBron
vet.
James of the
I haven't won any trophies, but
Trophies in heaven, remember?
true. Treasures in heaven. Treasures in
you got
heaven.
rings in heaven.
That's right. I got the rings. I got everything there. I hope, anyways. But yeah, I've been youth leading since I got out of high school, 2014. Since then till now, so that's almost 10 years. So
My
that's how
goodness.
long I've been in youth ministry, and I don't know. Like, it's weird because I've been in it for a long time, and you would think that, okay, well, maybe it's hard to see the progression. That most probably was, but where I sit right now, like, what much has changed about myself? Which we can get into later, because I think there is some things for all of us actually.
Yeah, but to be fair, your 10-year journey wasn't like the same youth group and consistently the same thing.
Yeah,
Like you
Yeah,
kind of did
yeah.
different things.
it's a
Yeah.
different game.
You kept it interesting. And
Yeah.
you move positions and stuff. you know?
Yeah, true that.
Yeah.
Yeah, different. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So I think it was pretty good.
that's true. Always growing, always progressing in a way.
Yeah.
10 years, dang.
I know, isn't that crazy? I'm like,
Crazy.
oh,
A
10
decade.
years?
Yeah.
Like-
No, it's actually crazy.
Wow.
We talked about it last time. You didn't think it was 10 years too.
No, didn't think that.
And
But
did the enjoyment stick around?
what do you mean?
Like, did
Oh,
do
we're
you
going
think?
straight there.
But like, wow, because
He wants to know. He wants to know.
This guy's 10 years,
wants
man.
to-
Like, so initially when you joined, do you think that enjoyment of why you
Leading.
did leading is kind of like consistent, or did you find it was like sometimes hard? Like
Just throughout the years, or like you're
Yeah, or
comparing
like-
my first couple years to now?
Yeah, well, to now, I guess. for
Right.
me, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'd say it's definitely different because you grow up a bit more and your priorities change and there's more responsibilities on your belt. So it's like less time to really. It's like even less time that you have for yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
Because when you just like yourself, which you will share later, how long you've been in ministry for. But when you come in fresh, it's like you don't really have much other than your tertiary education, right?
Yeah, just like uni and stuff.
Yeah.
take
So you just
whatever.
have that and that. though that does come with its own sacrifices. It does.
Yeah.
Which will, I got some questions for you too. But it's I think the enjoyment is the enjoyment is still there, but it looks different. Yeah, it looks different because like I guess now I have to battle more with the thoughts of like, oh, like this is taking so much more of my time, but I want to focus on like my future now. 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it's kind of like, oh, why would you put so much time into that?
Yeah.
But it was really cool because it was actually mentioned in a conversation we had earlier this week with Nick, and one of the rest of the team. But it was like today in my devotions and in Romans somewhere it said that, I don't want to. Oh no, actually no, it wasn't that. That's a different one. That's a different point. But Nick mentioned that you wouldn't want to sacrifice something that doesn't cost you anything, which David said, right?
Okay.
So it's kind of like, I don't know if I'm just going off a tangent right now. I may be.
Yeah.
So maybe, see, even Siri doesn't understand where I'm going with this point. So before I drag on, I'm just going to end it there before we go off and swerve out. But enjoyment looks different.
It's totally,
Still enjoying it, but different.
Yeah, because I mean, when you hit the full-time job, you don't have as much time as well, and you definitely need to organize compared to like uni.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
For
That's
sure.
nice.
And I guess like in a way, it's a very unique experience for me because I'm also a chaplain.
Yeah.
So I'm dealing with kids all the
All
time.
the time, bro.
All the time.
Ready to
I don't
be
get
a
a
dad,
break.
bro.
Hey?
You're ready to be a dad.
I better.
Are you? Ooh.
I don't know. I don't know about that just yet. I think I need some time
Yeah. No, for
to
sure.
relax before
For
that
sure, for
happens.
sure.
But yeah, that's me.
That's cool.
But yeah, how about we just go to you now, Ethan? Like, how long you been in the game? And
Oh, well, I am. This is my second year into my like media second year, so 1.5 years of proper youth leading. And yeah, like I just do uni and everything, and yeah, I'm in a actually like if you guys don't know, like I met like Jara and Nick through the youth that I'm still in leading in. So like even when I was still like a youth kid, like I saw Jara leading and Nick leading, even year one leading and everything. So been in church for quite a bit, and I think my path towards leading is really a family thing as well. Because like they both know my sisters, but like my sisters are also like youth leaders.
right, yeah,
Like
that's right.
one still is youth leading and everything. So like I've always seen them as youth leaders. You know, my parents were like cell leaders for their own groups in church and in Malaysia and everything. So I think leading's like kind of
in your blood.
low key. I don't like to say that because it sets expectation, but
Yeah,
I think we like as a family we just enjoy just being able to just lead a team, just like enjoy like people's company and everything, and
yeah, that's
just
good.
do something with that. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's all different.
Yeah,
But yeah, 2 years.
how long?
Like it's gonna be like 1.5, but 2 years.
I thought you said two. I was like, whoa,
Yeah,
already?
almost, bro. Oh my gosh.
That's
Yeah.
kind of
I have to
crazy.
make it clear. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
Like for yourself, right? Even though like in a way you were kind of influenced by your family, but what was that moment that really made you really like convinced like actually I want to lead after you
Yeah.
graduate high
That's a
school?
good question.
Yeah, because I actually didn't think because like my sister would do school ministry and actually both them do school ministry.
Yeah,
So a lot of
actual.
people were looking at me like,
Yeah.
yo, you gotta do it. But
Right.
I think at some point I was just like, oh, like I kind of want to do my own thing. Like, and it was kind of a bad thought because I was just like, I want to be different. That's my concept. I don't want to be
That's
the
the
same.
third child syndrome right
Yeah,
there.
kinda,
I
yes.
relate.
Legit. I just want to be different, and I think
Yeah.
that kind of awoke in a bit of independence. But I think I really thought about it. I was like, man, I just love youth. I love the like this generation where they can be so influential, and like I think we like talking to my sisters a lot about leading, especially my oldest. Like we all have different loves of youth. You know what I mean? Like we all know leaders that are good with one-on-ones, leaders that are good with in a group setting, leaders who are good on stage. But like I found my own unique love for it, and like I realized like it's like way bigger than what I am. And I think at the point when I decided to lead, I was like, oh, like this is my journey, and that's what my sister like stuck with me because my sister told me it's like leading is a choice of not like leading people, but it's actually like a journey for yourself as well. And I think I really like found myself through leading as well, and like yeah, like crazy experience. Not gonna like. So at that point, I was like, oh, where should I lead? Not like if I'm going to lead. I was like deciding, oh, should I come to Gyro's youth or like the youth they're in, or like stick around and everything. So God had to like really, help
That's
me
cool.
choose and everything.
No, it's really good, man, that you were able to discern the call in your life and then further discern where to go, where God's leading you to be. That's cool.
Yeah. And I think it also takes a lot of like humility when you kind of decide, because I get what you mean when you're like, oh, I want to do something different, you know? I think it takes also like, what do you call that? Like putting your ego or pride away and actually posturing your heart, like what you actually there for.
Yeah.
You know?
No, for sure.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah. And I think honestly, like I had to stop thinking about it because I started watching a lot of Viking films. Like I went through I watched Vikings the first season.
Okay.
Like, and there was just this sense of like pride of like family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like having a family and like, I would love to be different, but I also like take pride in, this family's a leading family. You know what I mean? Like I want to be involved with that. And like, I had to go through this stage of like, oh, I need to balance, am I just thinking about myself? But I also am a family person. So I was like, oh, like I actually want to lead because like my family's like that's their kind of craft kind of thing. So I was like, I took pride in that, and I took pride in like what God has given our family as a gift as well. Yeah. So at some point I was like pretty comfortable in being like, oh, I don't really need to do anything different. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's go on to you, Dinda. How long you been in the game?
It's a bit interesting for me because, like, to be honest, youth leading, I kind of started youth leading when I was maybe your age, like 20.
I'm not 20 yet.
When I was in Jakarta,
19,
when like this was the church that I found through Insta, very random, but I think that church really where I kind of like grew the most and I journeyed the most in my 20s, early 20s, and then I was there maybe for like actually not long. I was there for like maybe 1.5 or 2 years or 2.5. Can't remember, but I was there for a bit, and then I moved to another ministry because there was just a need for that ministry, and like my mentor back then, kind of like helped me to navigate all that. And then in Perth, I started just last year's camp, actually, when I got back into youth ministry. Yeah. So definitely a different experience back then.
Jumping
and now.
Around everywhere,
yeah, and
no,
like
that's cool.
Especially like leading when you're already like right now. It's crazy to me that I'm 28 this year. Yes. I definitely feel the difference. Stop it! Okay. I know. Yeah, but
young at heart, man.
You have to be in this line of business, man. You have to be.
She didn't even know who Logan Paul was.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's a bit.
Exposed me like that.
That is concerning.
Honestly,
that is kind of concerning, though.
It's a good aspect to have, like being a boomer. Like kids love that, low key. They do. They actually do. They like.
Yeah, because in a way they can't just always talk to someone that's like them. They need to talk to someone that's different. That's been.
They want to explain who Logan Paul is, bro.
Yeah.
They might find that a bit enjoyable actually to explain that to you. So
that's cool. So then,
so that's a brief. What is it called? Information
rundown. Yeah,
rundown.
But it's very interesting your experience to ours because you have like a lot of experience in church.
Correct.
Whereas, like in a way, Ethan and myself are a bit more like tunneled into one ministry. Yeah, that we've always known that's what we're gonna be doing.
Yeah.
So like. Coming from other ministries in church, how has that? What's the difference? I mean, obviously there's going to be a difference, but like, in has any skills translated over? Like, do you find that transitioning into youth was easy? Well, not easy, but was a bit more bearable because you've had those skills previously.
Maybe backtrack when I was like 20 and I started youth, for the very first time. I think in a way it's a bit, I don't know how to explain this, but I think because previous of that youth leading, I was already kind of like cell leading people my age.
Okay, so you were always like, a connect leader.
Yeah, kind of, yes. Right. And then like in high school, to be honest, I didn't come from a big youth, like I feel like
even our
then,
youth group is bigger.
I only had 10 people in my youth growing
The
up.
whole
Wow.
youth. That's
But it's
no,
actually crazy.
that's
So we
crazy.
just
Yeah.
took turns to be MC to like to the
Yeah,
kids.
well, you know
and
what?
We
Actu-
all we all did it. We all kind of did everything by ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we only have like 2 supervisor.
Yeah.
And that is it.
Yeah.
And
2 supervisors among 10 kids.
yes,
That's
like that's
crazy.
how small we are. And we would have like
Wow.
sleepovers and stuff like that. But technically, it was just us. Like it was
Yeah.
just you again, and then legit, like it's the same
Yeah, same
person
people.
who do the who
Right.
plays the key. It's only like 2 people, and they just
Yeah.
take turns every week.
It's cozy. Okay.
And that I moved to that church. It's like a very small Chinese Indonesian church when I was year 8 throughout year 12.
Wow.
I don't know how we
It's consistently 10?
yeah consistent
Wow, you got
I mean,
regulars, bro.
like because I think it was just a small family church. It wasn't like a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
church
It is
like
good.
this.
It's good.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, we only had like 1 floor for our church in a like bank building. Like we rented that floor for us. So
Wow.
obviously when I was like in Melbourne and like seeing what youth is like and like I was exposed to Hillsong and everything like that, I was, oh, this is new to me. You know,
Yeah.
like it's new to me.
Different structure and everything.
And
yeah.
then I came back and then the church that I chose to attend and like chose to like involved in like my home church back home also kind of similar to like Zion, so like in some ways, but yeah, like I kind of like because it's also an English service and we would have 2 youth service on a Sunday and 1 like youth nights on a weekday, and then
Weekday.
I don't know, and then I kind of just like I think learn by doing. Like a lot of times I was like, I'm not sure what they expect. I kind of just like, you know what? I do stuff first, like try to like, facilitate like what cell is. And then I started to realize like, oh, some of the things you gotta be more cautious, I guess. Like I feel like youth ministry is a very delicate ministry. It's the one that is really like, I can say like dirty. Like you really get your hands dirty.
Right.
In
Yeah.
terms of
I
like,
agree.
and it's not really like a glamorous ministry. Like a lot of emotions invested in that,
Yeah.
and like a lot of time. And I guess that's when I kind of started to, learn with people that were around me. And thankfully, I got quite a good lot of people who taught me how to like lead youth.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. That coming from a youth group of 10 people, it's just crazy because, looking at our camp teams this year,
Yeah.
we had 16
Yeah.
per youth team. Yeah. So, just how crazy that would have been for you.
Crazy. So like, okay,
It's like 6 newcomers.
I already had like that size of a youth group when I was serving in the like. So I already kind of like exposed to that size when I was serving
Yeah.
in Jakarta. But even like then, when I was like looking back to my youth, I'm like, damn, like this is crazy. Like people, I like in my youth group back then, like like even all the kids were serving, in like for worship media. Everyone just kind of like involved, very
everyone's
involved.
involved, yeah.
Yeah. I guess that was new to me
Yeah.
back then. But
Yeah.
like as I come to Zion, I think because I already had that exposure, I'm like, okay. It's interesting though, because like it's a different city, it's a
Yeah.
different like country. Obviously.
different
And
demographic,
small
different
youths in
needs.
general like have really good aspects of them.
Yeah,
Like that's something you would never have in sometimes bigger youths.
yeah,
Like for all the kids to be involved is huge.
Yeah.
Then we have like, in my opinion, we have issues where kids think, oh, I don't really need to be involved. I don't really need to serve. Like as in my Christian walk, because everyone else is doing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah,
So it's a whole different.
Yeah. Too many
aspect.
cooks.
Yeah.
Yeah, too many
Yeah.
cooks, and they're just like, oh, okay, they can just do it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Jai can't fathom it because I mean, when you joined,
I mean, when I joined this
youth?
church and looking at the youth group, that was very different to me.
Oh, yeah,
Like
already.
it was 12
Mm.
to start with, and then it became 9. And God's been working and He's been good, and then we're around 30,
yeah,
30s. But like seeing 12 at the start was new to me
yeah,
because at the youth group that you're at, it's big.
yeah,
Like, I'm guessing you're seeing around 250.
yeah. We're sitting around there,
Yeah,
Mm.
that's a lot.
and it's like,
And at its
Up,
peak, it was
downs,
past 300.
yeah. Sometimes
How did we
yeah.
do that? I don't know.
Yeah,
Grace
it's
of God,
crazy.
right?
Legit.
But yeah, anyways, going back to some of the questions that I have in mind. I wanted to ask Ethan and yourself, Dinda, and then we'll come to me. But I think you might have already answered this question in your little sharing just before. But it's like, Dinda did say, what was it for you that made you go, yes, I'm going to be youth leading? Like, what really, like, was it what you said? Like, it's in your blood, or like, you want to do something? Like, what kind of pushed you to be like, yeah, I think I can take on this responsibility? Because it's not like you just come and go, that's not, you don't just poop and scoop. It's not that kind of thing. You have to put in a bit of time and commitment into this. It's kind of like a relationship. You can't just come in and be like, I'm bored now, I'm gone. You know what I mean? So like, what made you be like, all right, knowing the weight of leadership?
Yep.
Yeah. What was your deciding factor?
To do it? Oh, far out. That's a great question. I think I consider my faith quite gung ho, quite like send it kind of thing. I think what stuck with me sometimes like to is to listen to what God is like putting around me, like to have a look, like sit back and see what God has placed in front of me, and let my heart be like, okay, like what are you so passionate and keen to do? Not like what is easy, what is like hard or anything. What are you like willing to put the time into, willing to deal with like everything bad about it as well? Because even before youth, I actually went through also like a hard phase of just like, man, like church can be so broken at times, and it can affect so many people, and like it's not perfect. And yeah, like Dinda said, youth is a delicate ministry, and sometimes like it can get quite messy at times too. Yep. So for me to actually send it, it was just like, oh, like, I see the time, I see my life, I see all these things, and I'm just like, I'm only young now, and I really want to like do God's work in my generation as close to the age I can when I can, you know what I mean? Yep. Like, not to try and avoid like, oh, I'm old, I can't youthy or anything, but just to be like, you know what, Ethan, like this is I felt that he said, this is a ministry that you've been in and you've had experience, and you already are doing leadership things. Like I was in youth ministry, like, doing dance, doing photography, doing like welcome team, like I was doing all those things, and I was enjoying it in youth. And God really said to me, it's like, you've been in here, so why don't you start giving back to it in a bigger scale as well? And I think I was so ready for that, and I didn't really particularly care about what came afterwards, if that makes sense. I don't really care, what people may hurt me or anything, because I knew that God was going to work in me in a so much bigger scale than what I was already doing in high school. And I knew it came with the cost of, me dealing with my own personal life as well. And I was so ready to like deal with that as well. Like I was so ready to deal with, what God's going to do in my personal life, but I was also excited to see what he's going to do, like a work in like me, and like what he can do to others around me. Yeah. So that's what really pushed me. It was just like, send it, bro, because like what you're gonna do now is like so much bigger.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very it counters the thinking of I'll come back to it later.
Yeah.
No, that's really good, because what you gain from leading youth is not just for the youths. They don't just reap the benefits, but as a leader, you too. You learn a lot of things, and it builds character for sure. So it'll be exciting to see how you'll be in 10 years.
Yeah, man, dude. And like, I think the biggest part that got me was like, oh, it's so good to know that, kids love you. Kids really appreciate you. Kids will send you letters. Kids will send you gifts. Maybe buy you some Jordans or a North Face jacket or anything.
Yeah,
but
right. I hope that's not the expectation.
Yeah, exactly.
Though.
But sometimes it actually is, because I feel like maybe some leaders, and I actually went through that as well. Some leaders were just like, oh, I love kids. I love like, talking to them and everything. But do you love God? To talk to them about God, you know what I mean? Because that's an awkward conversation for them sometimes, you know what I mean? So like, you're not in there for the credit, and trust me, the credit is not guaranteed too. Like when it comes to the kids, like especially, like they have different ways of saying, I really appreciate you.
They can suss you out,
and some kids don't even like you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're gonna get those.
Exactly. Like
you're gonna get those.
So like the question is, are you okay with kids not liking you? And I was like, bro, God loves me.
And it could be for the dumbest things too. It's like, I don't like your smile. It's like, whoa, okay, I can't smile now.
Funny story. I came to youth full wearing black, right? Because I love black. It's
easy.
I didn't get offended, but I was just like, some girl's like, damn, you emo, bro. I was like, it wasn't even like offensive. I was just like, oh damn, am I?
Makes you question it.
Yeah.
I do a little prayer before you.
Then God was like,
pre-service
"You're
prayer.
made
Like, am I
wonderfully and
depressed?
beautifully."
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say the darndest things sometimes. Hey, they kind of just say it. They don't really think about it too much.
Yeah. But it's like honestly I love it still. You know, when they so out of pocket, like that's what youth is. It's just unpredictable.
Yeah,
It's
you gotta be on your
never-
toes too.
Yeah, like
You give it back as well.
yeah. Legit.
Didn't need to learn that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Well, okay. That's cool, Ethan. Thank you.
What
That's
about you,
awesome.
Joe? We'll jump to you.
It jumped to me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it jumped to me. It's funny because I forgot the question. So why don't you remind me, Ethan? What was the
What
question?
like pushed you to do?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll try to make it very brief because I guess there's a lot of different factors into it. Not a lot, but the main one would probably there's two main points. The first one is it would be just my experience in youth. Because my high school life was terrible. Like it was okay, it's not like tragic, like like living out of home, doing drugs. No, nothing like that. I wasn't involved with any bad people, nothing like that. But it was just like it was rough at home. My home was youth, right? And so I found family there. Okay, now it's interesting how we use the word. Okay, so we do have to be careful about that because for another time.
For another time.
But I did find belonging. That's a better word.
Yeah.
Belonging at that youth group,
Yeah.
and I looked forward to it every Friday night because people that I could connect with. You know, people at home couldn't understand me. They could. My leader could. You know, they took me out. I had really good experiences. Right. So in a way, I wanted to do that for someone else.
Yeah.
And I felt a calling to do that because what happened was very interesting. John, who's been on the show multiple times, and people know that he's my mentor and Nick's mentor. But he was a freshman, you know. I mean, fresh out of like another church, Methodist church, comes to our church. He's like paid staff now. He's the new upcoming youth leader or like youth pastor, right? Does a huge culling. Right, this is when I was in year 12. Does a huge culling. Like basically, he's just calling us out on just the bad things of this youth group, like things that have been going on for too long. He's like, that's enough. I'm here now, and I'm saying it how it is. That's terrible, right? He's just saying it how it is. A lot of people took offense to that. But for me, there was a stirring in the spirit. There was a conviction. I felt like I was offended by what he said. I was. But I was also like, but he's right. And it woke me up a bit. And I wanted to be part of that change that he was going to be doing, right? So when he came around to asking us, like, you know, what, like, you know, he's like looking for a team. He's recruiting people now at this point. And I had conversations with John, and he's interested in having me on board, right? But I was a bit insecure in the sense that I didn't think I would be a good leader, which is very common. I hear that a lot when people come into leadership. They'll tell you, oh, I'm not good enough, blah, blah, blah. You say the same thing, but you don't have to be good.
Correct.
Because it's God that works through you in the end of the day, right? That's the mistake that people make. But then, only now you realize that once you've gone through that journey. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, I was on the fence about that. So I kind of just like said, John, you know, I'll get back to you another time. You know, I'll get back to you. And he's like, all right, cool. Just pray about it, blah, blah, blah. Now he's getting anointed, right, at church, like officiated to be paid staff, an official youth pastor of that youth group, right? And so in that moment was the first time in my life and the last time in my life I ever heard the audible voice of God, all right? And this was like not even audible. It was kind of, I don't know how to explain it to you guys. Okay, I do. Okay, I'll explain it like this. It's like I saw it like subtitles and it was speaking to me. That's what it felt like. I saw words and they were speaking to me. And so like when I saw John on his knees, I felt moved. And I felt the Spirit telling me this. And I don't want to over-spiritualize things, but it's kind of crazy because now I look back and it's kind of low-key prophetic because this is when our youth group was like not even passing 100 kids. Like it wasn't doing that well. The retention rate was terrible. Yeah, people didn't really have much good to say about the youth group at the time from the outside point of view. There's another youth group doing way better than us, you know, blah, blah, blah. But what I felt the Spirit tell me was, you know, follow this man. He's going to do great things. I'm going to do great things through him. And all I want you to do is follow him. And I was like, damn, okay, I'm going to do that. And then through that journey, that youth group has grown from 100 to 300 plus and things like that. And God did work through him, you know, and you know him, we all know who he is and what he's capable of, right?
Yeah.
So that in a way is my story into this whole journey that's now 10 years. And
That's
so
crazy.
that's kind of, that's how I got into it. But yeah, I think now even when I even entertain the idea of leaving youth leadership, I don't even know what I'm going to do with myself. You know,
Yeah.
like I feel like youth leading is the only thing I know. Even though I feel like now, as you get older, you're a bit more like closed and like grumpy, you know. I'm getting there because I'm getting a bit,
Grumpy.
you know, you kind of hold a little resentment in terms of like, oh, all this time taken away from me for what? You know what I mean? It's like I could be, I mean, working
Doing
another
something
full-time
else.
job and like, you know, have a house and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm struggling out here. We're struggling, you know what I mean? In a good way. It's a good struggle. God still leads us, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, why give up so much, you know? And I guess in a way that comes back to like, I won't sacrifice what costs me nothing, right? Because you're not really serving in a way.
Yeah.
And that's a rude awakening for people because you like being comfortable.
Yeah.
And when you hear that leadership's going to be uncomfortable, people just don't want to take it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, it should be that way because there has to be a way, there's separation. You know, you can't, not everyone can be a leader. That's how it is. But anyways, I'm diverting again. You know, you just get passionate and then you just go off tangent.
Well, youth is real passionate about
Yeah,
this
you know,
stuff,
I mean, but anyways, I don't know what else I would do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, but the thought of jumping into another, like, let's say another role and something else, I just can't at the moment. So all I
Like
know,
another role in the church, you mean?
in the role in the church,
Okay.
or like even the concept of moving to another church, not saying that I am, but say if I put myself in that situation, could I do that? No, I don't think I could.
I think honestly, like stuff like that, some people may say, "Oh, it's because you've been in there for so long," but I think that's truly calling.
Yeah,
Sometimes
for sure.
it's just like you have things and experience, so why not use it? You know
it's
what
true.
I mean? Like, and like you can move into like something around it or anything. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
But at the end of the
exactly.
day, like youth is always going to be there. It's
Right.
something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's other ways to reach the youth. You know,
course,
it's
yeah.
not just youth group. That's
Of
very
course, yeah.
one-dimensional. We have
Correct.
to think differently now, you know, and this
Yeah.
is another reason why we started this podcast. You know, like a majority of our viewing are people in high school, young adults.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like that. This is another avenue I feel like God has called me into personally.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you guys are here too, and you're all youth leaders. So I guess that's something there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, anyways, that was meant to be brief, but it wasn't.
That's a good story though.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I hope you were entertained. I hope everyone enjoyed that little story.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be like that for everyone. I don't want, you know, our experiences here are
Yeah,
very
all
different. Like
different.
already, you know, Ethan's is different from mine.
Yeah.
You know, I would even say I even dramatize my experience, but not really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's exactly how it happened.
Yeah.
But it may not happen to you, and that doesn't mean that you're not called for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
If you feel tugged, just oblige. Pray into it.
Yeah.
Press into it.
And
Yeah.
I like what you said because it's so true. Like, and even I went through it. It's like, oh, I'm not worthy of being a leader, but no, God doesn't want like people who are ready or like
You're never
Yeah.
gonna be.
good. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you got confidence level. No,
Yeah.
he's like asking for people who are ready to be molded
Yes.
to fit the piece that he wants you to go to
100%.
Yeah.
use. You know what I mean? So if you think that you have a shot at it, just go for it. And then I like what, like, you know, one of my pastors told me, it's like, you know, if God truly doesn't want you to be there, he'll tell you. And he'll give you signs that, you know, you're not thriving in there, and then you can leave. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's something that you're locked in on and you'll be
Yeah.
looked down
And it doesn't
upon.
define you as well.
Exactly.
No.
I think sometimes the
Yeah.
trap is like, oh, if I'm not leading, then I'm not significant. And that's
Yeah.
also reflecting your heart. Like, where is your heart
Yes,
exactly in
that's
this
right.
ministry?
Yeah.
But yeah, that your story is good.
Yeah.
I actually don't know about that part, Audible. Maybe you told me before, but I know. I feel like
I mean, I
I've
don't want to
forgotten
bring it
that.
up too much because I don't want to be like
I know what you
like a
mean.
flex, like, you know, God spoke to me. He's
'Cause
spoken
I
to
never
me.
had that
You know what I mean?
experience.
And that's why I don't want to, you know, put that
I know
out
what
like
you
that.
mean.
But that's the main reason why I'm here,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and so I can't really hide it in a
Yeah.
sense. But I mean, just to end my bit and then we'll move to you. I just want to, it's like that saying where God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the call.
I was about to actually say that.
Yeah.
I think that was actually God equipped the called. Wait, yeah. No. Wait.
God doesn't call. He doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the call. Yeah.
I think that was something that really pushed me because moving to a church, because moving especially from Melbourne to Jakarta, and mind you, like my church in Melbourne was actually an Indonesian church, so I didn't go to an English church. So like my English church experience kind of just started when I went back from Melbourne to Jakarta. And even then, having this heart and like, okay, I actually want to serve here. Like, I had like quite a bit of insecurities and like just like moment of like, do I really like, am I ready for this? And those kind of questions. But I guess there was just, I don't know, like there's just this stronger heart that I kind of like, because in that moment before I served, I just had another roller coaster of life that made me really experience God another level and actually know Him personally. Really like, damn, like God actually is such a personal God and orchestrate things so well. And I feel like, even though there were times that I was really mad at Him for a period of time and just being the prodigal daughter and all that, like He still chose me. So I think to be honest, I can't remember like youth was something that when I was entering to youth ministry, it wasn't something that like, oh yeah, youth, let's go. Like I think it wasn't like that for me. Like my journey was more like, I kind of found someone who I really look up to in a church, and then I just felt so compelled to like, oh, I really want to like try to serve. Where can I serve? Like, where is something that I can like? Which team that kind of needs someone? And then, my I guess mentor back then kind of like led me to like youth ministry, where I found like potentials that I never thought that I have. And like like you said, I think I started to not just knowing God better but knowing myself better in that journey.
Wow,
that's true.
But
yeah, that's youth, man. Like, and that's like
Yeah.
how I guess pretty much a summary of like how we knew the calling to youth as well. But I'd like to know, like, that's a question, I guess, like what do you think like your experience of youth is like, or like how did you find youth when you initially got up and running and you kind of get into the rhythm of it? Like, what like did you what challenges? What was the first challenges you guys had to face? I guess in youth ministry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah.
For me, honestly, when I was like just started leading back then, actually, I have like reasons. Like now, I feel like with serving in Perth and serving in Jakarta, it was like
Totally
so
different.
different.
Yeah,
And even I
100%.
think like my heart now, because like of all my 20s as well, like the reason why I chose youth is also different. Like back then, I was more like, okay, it was like in front of me, and I just kind of like stepped into.
Yeah.
But this time's round, it was more like a challenge and also like a conviction for me. It's like, you know what? Like, youth is really the next like gen leaders. Like, and
that's
the
true.
thing is, like, there's so many things right now in the world that's just so broken that sometimes I'm like, how are we gonna like be in the future? Like, we just have so many concerns, and I think a lot of people kind of, there was a time that I feel like Gen Z was being blamed for a lot of things, and I'm just
it's
like,
just fun to blame someone, right?
well, and I'm just like, well, who are the people who actually want to guide them, really? You know?
True.
So I kind of like, because of that conviction, I kind of like, you know what? Like, I want to share something in youth. Like, I might not be, obviously, I'm not perfect. And like, I still have a lot of limitations and all that. But at the end of the day, like, if they are the one who's going to lead us in the future, like, why are we like, I think like a lot of people just kind of like to blame on them, but don't want to do anything with them. In many ways. But go back to your question. I think the challenging part was more into their poker face. Like, you know, like sometimes I feel like
when life got you down and you have to still be strong.
When you're youth, like, because I'm like, was I that ignorant? Like, I feel like youth have a lot of like, they're really good on and not showing like expressions, or like you said, like they don't know how to sometimes communicate things or to appreciate you or to even just engage. Sometimes I feel like my youth don't look engaged, like in discussions. You know,
Are you
like
talking
they
about
just
your current ones?
Well,
Like let's not comment because they might be listening.
Yeah. I was like, no, both. I'm just like, in general, I feel like youth are not. Like, I think maybe we all have that moment, right? When we were youth, like we just want to act cool and we just want to like be, I don't know, be a certain way that like it's very hard to read their emotions sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
To read where they are,
Yep.
Yeah.
to gauge where they are.
Mhm.
Like, are they listening? Are they not?
Mm.
And all that.
Yep.
I think if you're insecure, youth is definitely going to be a challenge for you
Yeah.
because you still have to have that conviction and confidence to actually push through,
Yep.
regardless their
Resilience.
reaction is. It's none of your business. I
Yeah.
feel like you really have to, like, youth really taught me on like letting go, like planting the seeds and let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go, not in terms of not following up. I'm not talking about that let it go, but I'm talking more like your expectation of their reactions is none of your business. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Okay.
it's just, yeah.
I mean,
I
on
don't know.
that note, for
about
me,
you?
because when I first started, the challenge was sell material. Because for context, the first time I led sell, I led the week before that, and one of the kids made sure to let me know I'm leading the wrong material. Right? Yeah. So like in general, going through material back then has always been a challenge, even till now. Even it depends how I prepare. I'm a lot better now. I can speak out of my ass, to be honest.
Yeah.
But because now I've lived through that, and then I also have my own personal walk with God, and so like
Yeah.
I know the word. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But that's actually that experience. Just to answer your question, I mean, I feel like I can add it to what you were saying.
Yeah.
Is that it's shaped the way I lead. So in the sense that I don't. Now I'm not trying to put down biblical devotions. You know, like sitting down, breaking the word apart, blah blah blah. You know, I'm not like saying that that's dismissing that or saying that that's not relevant or whatever. But the way I lead is different to a point now. Is like I'm trying to show that through my actions, right? And it's through those opportunities when they start following you, and you can feel it. You can feel when they look up to you, and then just pockets of moments where you could just put in some words, you know, like you know, just a bit of wisdom, you know, and like. They'd be like, "Oh, where's that from?" I'm like, "Oh, that's from Romans, blah blah blah." You know what I mean? Like, and that's kind of just how I do it.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I don't neglect those Friday nights where we have to teach material. I try my best, but most of the work happens outside of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
One-on-one thing.
Yeah, it's more of a one-on-one thing.
Mentorship.
100%. I would say
Yeah.
most of the best teaching I've done as a cell leader, connect leader, in back then and even till now, is in those moments where we're just having chats like this,
Nah, I vouch for that.
and
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, like the Spirit just brings up words, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is what the Spirit's telling me. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's true. Like
I wouldn't feel discouraged. I mean, I'm talking to all those people that are leaders right now that are listening, or people that are afraid of doing that because they don't feel like they're, you know, intelligent, or they can't. The public speaking is a big thing for them, because you're doing that literally every second week if you're running by our structure. But yeah, it's just, you don't have to lead like everyone else, which is, you know, I guess the challenge was comparison for me. You know, I would compare
That's a
myself
big
to
one.
others. Yeah, huge. It's always, everyone's
Yeah.
going to have that, because you're going to be like, oh, this guy's getting results.
Yeah.
We're doing the same thing, but
Yeah.
nothing's happening for myself.
Yeah.
And in those moments, you got to check your heart,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that's what I wanted to add to
Yeah.
Well,
your
That's
thing.
good.
I think that's facts, because I mean, Giles was like the one that got me into boxing. He was cutting my hair at some stage.
I was cutting his hair at some
Yeah,
stage.
so
It was
it's
all
like-
right. Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, it was good. Like honestly, like it's just being present, and I feel
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
that's. Oh man, like I thought I had to be some star leader at some stage, because like I was looking up to Giles, I was looking up to Nick, I looked up to a lot of people in youth as well, and I thought I had to be this dude that was organizing events, dance events, and everything.
Mhm.
Like I thought I had to be that guy, you know what I mean? But I think God really was just like, what have I done that you loved? And that was like, just be present. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's what my whole leading now is
Yeah.
based upon. I'm not trying to make them like love me so much that they can't, you know, they can't live in their own faith alone. But I think I just want them to know I'm there for them, and
Yeah.
for them to know that I'm like a refuge as well, for them just to be comfortable around, so
That's
that
good.
they can do whatever they want. And I feel like, yeah, I'm like hella inspired from like the leaders that I've looked up to, and I think opportunity is the biggest one. I feel like youth, a lot of people, maybe because me as a kid as well, I thought youth was like therapy. I had to go to youth for like, oh, like you got something wrong with you, you gotta go there, you know what I mean? But I feel like when you have that community, like youth is so much opportunity. You got opportunities for like your career, opportunities just to meet new people, opportunities just to like see new things and new perspectives.
Yeah.
That, like it, like that's the stuff that gets me. That like
Mhm.
these kids are missing out.
Yeah.
The kids that are not there are missing out on this
Yeah.
opportunity.
Mhm.
On just like
I
knowing
think
people
like
and knowing
yeah,
God.
every
Yeah.
time I see youth, not just like in Perth, but even when I was leading youth, I'm like, I wish I had that in high school. You know what I mean? Like there are times that, like, to be really honest, okay, I think I haven't told you guys this, but I have actually never been to a church youth camp. I never had that in
Wow.
high school. Like the one that we're hosting, like we're leading. I never had that. Like I had
I think you might have mentioned that a little bit.
I had one big youth camp, but it was like not from church. It was from like
Oh, you said
Christian,
international. You did
an
mention that.
international,
Yeah.
like it's an international organization, like Christian Union kind of thing.
Yep.
And then it was people from like Southeast Asia, Japan, Korea, and like it was crazy. They only host it once every 4 years. And I think I went when I was in year 11. And that's when I actually met like some of the people that I still now really cherish and I still remember them. And
It's a
like
very unique
even
experience.
like, even in uni, I met some of them. Like we went to the same uni, even though we're from like different countries and all that. And I have to say, like, that was one of the crazy experience that I had, like really, really like good friendships were formed from that camp. And then 4 years later, I went back to lead that camp, which was wild because it's like hundreds of like people, and like it was crazy because like most of the Japanese didn't really speak English, so they all had like the electronic dictionary, and we all just kind of like guess what they're saying, like, and like it's
Wow,
it's crazy though. It's good. Where was I going with this? But yeah, like I think
good opportunity.
I think sometimes it's like we take things for granted because we already like I feel like we only know that, and then it's very easy to take like a safe community for granted. And I guess one of the things that I want to add on your point as well, it's like youth ministry is way more than just like the Friday nights and like the Sundays and all that.
Exactly.
And like I think from my experience, like I had youth who like graduated high school, they were in uni and starting to like work now. Like it's actually crazy now. Like my youth are like working, like started to like enter the new season and all that. And in a way, like they still reach out when they like, you know,
you're still
trying to navigate
leader,
things and they are confused about certain things. And like at the end of the day, like I think we have to remember that like, like we have also that responsibility. Not responsibility, but like I guess that role that they actually like can look up to. But also at the same time, I think one of the things that for me is also challenging is to challenge the youth that you love. Like, because we're not like to actually like make them accountable for some things. And I think when we are pushing people to grow, I think that's when like one of the challenge that I think I had in the past. To be the truth teller, to like actually like
tell it how it is.
Them,
it's true. And it's like, ooh, like I don't know how to do this sometimes, and like,
I mean, honestly, when I think someone told me this too, is like, you're not their parents. You're not, and like even if you were their parent, I feel like you're there to challenge them to be more, and like you're not gonna see them like every day kind of thing. So it's like when you have moments with the youth, you have to make the best opportunity with them. You gotta tell them how it is. You gotta like embed those values that's just gonna help them in their life and their walk with God. And I feel like, you know, when all the kids always like, you know, like a lot of leaders like say, it's like, oh, you know, it's good the kids look up to me, they look up to you. It's like, yeah, like through me, they should look up to me, but also like I should direct that towards God as well.
Correct.
And to like display
100%.
that. And like I feel like it's tossed around a lot. You know what I mean? And I think the biggest thing that I have experienced in youth that it was scary to me was, you know, when my youth leader like had to leave and we had to change leaders and everything, and I just saw a lot of like and like it was just a whole like
dependency.
Yeah, it was a whole season of a lot of leaders leaving, and I saw a lot of people just their faith was shooken. Like, you know, these youth, like their faith was shooken, and even mine was a bit shooken because, you know, my faith is attached to that leader, and I feel like that's what I want to avoid now.
That's
like,
good.
Like I think, you know,
so
whether you're youth, whether you're youth or you are,
that's
youth
how
leader,
cults start out.
Yeah, like
Correct.
Like whether you're youth or youth leader, you should teach like if you're watering your plants, you want your plants to be, kind of doing their own thing. Oh, sorry, that was a terrible example.
Great analogy. Well done.
Yeah, like well, what was it? A leader doesn't like give you the fish all the time. He teaches you how to fish.
Yeah, you
right?
don't give them the food.
Exactly. You want them to be
yeah.
self-sufficient and just have a self-sufficient faith as well.
Yeah,
and that's 100%. A big one for me.
But I saw this reel not a long time ago. It's by Stephanie, from Bethel, I think, one of the worship leaders there, and she was like, we should really remember that, like in church and like as a Christ follower, like what we do is to help people to disciple and not to duplicate. And I'm like, whoa, that's good. Like sometimes we like, I don't know, oftentimes maybe like, so we get too distracted into like, shaping people or like, growing people into like a certain type that we thought like they should be, forgetting that at the end of the day, it's literally about like them following Christ and not us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
Honestly?
Yeah, we don't change people, God does, right?
Yeah. I actually have a question for you guys.
Oh, okay.
In the time of youth leading, like, did you guys have ever made a mistake, and how did you guys overcome that?
What kind of mistake?
Like, but I don't know, mistake in ministry or just like, because as a leader, you have this obviously like accountability, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then like, even just a certain way of leading, or like maybe like there was not the best approach to lead, or like just maybe you did something and people got disappointed at you, like any kind of like, I'm not just putting boxes. I don't want to put a box into that mistake can look like.
Right.
But how did you guys overcome that and like stayed as a leader in youth?
Wow. Okay.
Man, I think
in your almost 2 years.
Yeah.
What have you learned? I'm sure a lot in this.
My mistake was assuming like God's not gonna take you on those fears you already had. So actually, before I joined youth, I had a list of fears. Actually, I had a list of things that I was like, oh God, please, if anything, like, don't let this happen. Like, please don't let this happen. And I'm telling you, like, not even like a year passed by. It was like less than half a year. Then he took me through all those fears, and like I was so surprised. You know what I mean? So my mistake was like thinking that God's gonna go easy on me, because when you enter that calling, He's gonna reshape you and everything.
Oh, yeah,
and it was crazy.
100%.
Like I'm talking like every specific thing as well. One of the example was I didn't want kids that were so mature because I felt unworthy. And bruh, they got me like kids that like, they got me youth that were just like answering questions. They knew their stuff, you know what I mean? And they were asking me stuff, and I was sitting there like, oh, I'm not sure what to do now, you know what I mean? So it's like, God took me on all those fears, and He really just showed me like it's not that deep, because I got you, you know what I mean? Like, look where you're standing right now. You're still alive. You're still moving. You still love the calling that I put you in.
Yeah.
So that was my first mistake. Like, thinking that was going to be easy. Thinking it was going to be comfortable too, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Hell.
Yeah.
No. I mean, heaven, nah. It's not going to be easy. It's not a walk in the park, a piece of cake. It's none of that. That's all a myth. You're not going to jump into youth ministry and not have shed a tear.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy who's like, I got 10 years on my plate. But for real, even in 1, 2, 3 years, doesn't matter how long, even the first few months of leadership, you're going to shed some tears already. If you're really in for this and God's called you for it, you will. You know what I mean? But yeah, anyways, calm down, Jara.
Breathe.
That's the 10 years talking, bro.
No, I'm not. That's not a flex. But so some challenges, how I've overcome them.
Not challenges,
mistakes.
Yeah.
I made many mistakes. Okay. Yeah. I have a lot of room for that. There's a lot of time.
Yeah.
But at the top of my head, I can think of 2. But to be honest, I think I handled the first one quite well. I think at first, because the thing is with innocence, because when you start with, let's say year 7s, year 8s, right? They're very innocent, you know, and like to them talking to, especially a male leader that's older than them, is a new thing. So in seeing this, you already know where the conversation is going.
Yeah, I know.
You need to put some boundaries down, and I'm all for that. I'm Mr. Boundaries, okay?
Yep.
Call me Jar Boundaries Chew, right? That's my name. All right, but the thing is, I think at the start, like, it took me a while to realize that, some of the interactions I'm having are a bit like not healthy. And I'm not saying that it was really bad.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing like that.
Yep.
But still, it's just like I had like literally I don't know how everyone knew where I lived. Okay, but like they would come to my house. I mean, it was nice. They brought me McDonald's and stuff. It was. I mean, it's on cold. I mean, it's nice. but
Okay.
but it's like letting them into my house that early, like two girls, like all girls, especially with a gender thing. You gotta set some boundaries. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so you gotta be careful with that. So I think
Yeah.
I did start to put in some boundaries, and I was pretty good at that. I would say with some guidance, not by myself,
Yeah.
but with some good guidance on the side. That's a little one, but the biggest one from. Did you have a question?
No.
Okay, because you're like leaning forward, like I'm gonna ask you a question.
No.
Okay. I just before we move on and I forget that train of thought.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that I learned from that season of the last youth group I was at, where Ethan is now, is God really humbled me, right? Because there was a period of time where my Connect group, cell group, was performing very well.
Yeah.
Like I kind of just. It's a bit unhealthy for me. I think, this is actually a good one. Actually, there's two mistakes in this one. Okay, so this mistake I'll mention is that turning to just yourself and your Connect group. You know what I mean? Like just cultivating that and not your
So
friendships
it's like
outside.
a cult within a community.
Yes, that's correct. It's like you've cultivating a big
us.
clique.
It's like us.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's like camp teams,
Yeah.
but more
throughout the years.
more like
Extensive.
dragged out. Yeah, and so that's what I did, and in a way, like. It wasn't good for the people in the cell, in the Connect group. I mean, I'm not saying that there were people that were, not everyone was happy, I don't think. I'm not going to talk for everyone.
Yeah.
We're not perfect.
Yeah.
But, like it was, everyone knew us as, the Wolf Pack or like this and that. That's the name we went by. It's cringy now, but it was cool back then. All right. So it's like, I think that was my mistake. And coming out of that, it was, again, like there was some issues that arose, like, people being dependent on me for faith. And like most of them, if not half, maybe more than half, are not in church anymore, But I would like to say that my relationship with most of them still stands. At least.
Yeah.
At least I managed to keep that, But yeah, I think that was a big mistake, turning to just us and, ignoring everything else.
Yeah.
It was kind of just like head down, just work on what I got.
Yeah.
Had some fruits, but also didn't.
Yeah.
Some unhealthy things came out of that.
Yeah.
So I would suggest, it's a village kind of thing.
Yeah.
You don't just turn to your own and
Yeah.
everyone should support everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be so caught up in your own world.
Yeah, exactly. Your own bubble.
Yeah,
your
like-
own safe place.
Let them meet other leaders. Let
Yeah.
them,
I mean,
let them
there was
see
a
other-
reason
yeah.
for that, to be
Yeah.
honest, for me. But like that's because that was based on hurt that I received from the leadership team.
Yeah.
So I felt that I can't trust these guys, so I'm going to cultivate my own trust circle, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
And it was a good one. It was efficient. It ran well. It was a good oiled machine. I'll tell you that. But that also led to the next problem, which was my pride. Okay, so like I was working so hard with these guys, and like we were making waves. Ethan would remember. You'll probably hear about us getting shout outs on stage, whatever. I don't know. But then it got to my head. It really got to my head, and I was like, oh, I'm a really good Connect leader. I have 30 plus kids in my cell.
30 plus.
Yeah, 30 plus.
That is
We had a huge.
crazy.
I don't even know how I led material. I blacked
Yeah.
out every time
And it
because
was like
there's too many
And
kids.
it was like known.
Wait,
It was known in youth that
Can
like
I
he
ask,
was
like,
go-
30 plus, and then when you had the cell nights, like, how did you do it? As in, like, would you break them into groups, or
because
is
he had a
just
dope
one?
core team.
Nah,
One
I literally be preaching sermons,
Crazy.
Yeah, so sermons. I don't
Yeah.
know. I wouldn't go
legit,
back on
it
my
was-
words like that.
Yeah.
I'll probably sit and just cringe at like what I'm saying, but I mean, hopefully not, But yeah, that was kind of like what I was dealing with. So like, obviously, you get a lot of praise for that. Like even like John at one point posted pictures, like, oh, this is what our youth group looks like now. Like we're doing so well, and there's a picture of my cell there, and like
Yeah.
as a poster
Yeah.
cell.
And
As
they got
you know,
into you. It's like,
yes.
yeah.
It would,
That's right,
It would.
that's right.
Like
Yeah.
any normal cell leader,
Yeah.
it would happen.
it got to my head, and then in a way I also overstayed after that, because my Connect group after year 12 they left, obviously, and then normally the progression is that you leave with them as well. You just leave. That's it. End of the season, right? But I stayed on because I was like, oh, I have so much to give to all these leaders. They're gonna come to me and ask advice. None of that happened. That was the most redundant I've ever felt in all the years I've been in youth ministry. The most. It hurt me so bad. There were nights where I would cry by myself in the car park because I felt so useless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do
At the
remember
time, there
that.
was a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But looking back, I can still feel it. But looking
Oh.
back
he was,
now,
he was pretty much a security guard.
yeah,
at one night.
they made a role called Patrol and
Patrol
Security.
and
What
security.
nonsense is that?
Yeah.
Everyone's doing that.
So, as in, like he would
Sorry.
he would just walk around, like walk under the building, like check the
Oh.
car
You just make sure
park.
that kids are not vaping, doing anything
Oh.
dodgy, you know.
exactly. Yeah.
Because your kids have graduated. So
Yeah, so they're
So
not
he was
there
just-
anymore.
yeah.
I'm
like a
just there.
supervisor
And they were
kind
not
of thing.
they
I'm a
didn't
supervisor
assign,
now, but
they didn't assign you to like a new cellies or
no. I was a supervisor and I had like
okay.
upper zone. That was my zone. And I thought people would come to me for advice and things like that. Nothing. Nada.
Yeah.
Zilch. You know, no one came to me for anything. So I felt very useless. And on nights like there would be nights where I would come late because I don't know, I can't remember. I think I was just so down bad. Okay, but
Yeah.
that's a bad way. Okay, that's a bad word to say. I mean, like not a good way to explain how I felt, but I was just not in a good way.
Yeah.
So I would come late, and people
'Cause you're
wouldn't
like,
people wouldn't
what's
have
the point?
noticed. People wouldn't take notice at all.
Mm.
You know, God really broke me down. You know,
Yeah.
he allowed that to happen
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that I could, you know, come back up again and be like, okay, that was unhealthy of me.
Yeah.
You know, let's come at this at a different angle. And that's what also took me so long to get back into youth ministry because of just what I went through in that time. But
Yeah.
that was a big mistake. Don't let your ego take control. You take
Yeah.
no credit, take no blame. That's how that's how you play the game. That's it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's it.
No,
That's a
facts.
good way to close.
Like, but honestly, like I
Yeah.
think one thing I want to add with like just youth leadership is that your lead team is like the team that you should trust the most. As the team you should be the most authentic like with as well. I
Yeah.
feel like if you don't trust the pastors or anything that you have, you're already kind of disconnected. And I feel like that leads to kind of, you know, cells just doing their own thing and everything. And I
Yeah.
think that, yeah.
I mean, I have something to say about that because, well, the thing is about the leadership team that you're existing in right
Yeah,
now
yeah,
is
yeah.
different to ours. Right?
100%.
Ours is like 4 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this 4 people, we're all in the same
Yeah,
podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
And they say cell.
Yeah.
Cell,
yeah.
You know, like it's a different thing because we
Yeah.
actually do life together.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Whereas like you're in a team full of like, I don't know, God knows how many people, like in a way that you have to be put into zones because
Yeah.
that's, then you look out for your zone, right?
Yep.
Because you're going to make a big group feel small, right?
Yep.
So I think it's a different dynamic because for me personally, being in that environment, the relationships were very superficial.
Yeah, it can be.
You know, it's like, what
sure.
can you give me?
Yep.
You know, it's like, it starts off friendly, but then people don't really care. You know what I mean? And I mean, I'm talking from my own personal experience. I'm not saying for everyone here.
Yep.
But coming out of that season, I had no one really to fall back onto.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I have made a few friends, which I'm still really good mates with today.
Mm.
You know, but it's. But you're saying is, I mean, I'm not trying to argue your point or like say your point is irrelevant.
Yep.
But you're right though, because that is your team. You know, you
Yeah.
should put trust in your team.
Mm.
Yeah.
And in the way that responsibility comes from all ends, you know, the people, your superiors and yourself, because
Yep.
you got to put in the effort as well.
Yeah.
And like, that's something I didn't see before. People don't really put in the effort. The unity was based around one person. It's very
Yeah.
hard when it's around one person because
Yeah.
it's hard to build that genuine connection between members when they just come for one person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just like,
Agreed.
you know, some circles, I won't say,
Yeah.
sharing too much about
Yeah.
that. But you know, it's, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
it's, yeah, but I'm just adding on. But you're right. I agree.
Because I feel like, you know, just like a church where, you know, they have their vision and everything, it should be with the youth as well. And I feel like, you know, youth leaders may not see it, but the youth do. You know what I mean? The youth see, like, you know,
They watch, bro.
Yeah,
Like
Oh,
legit.
yeah.
You
when,
know,
when you're not unified, like
Everyone's watching.
when you got beef with each other and everything, like
No, they watch.
they see it
They
and they
know.
feel it.
Uh-huh.
And I think a big mistake that I think I had to catch myself as well is that, you know, I was ranting to
Wow.
these kids at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
I was
right.
ranting to, like, not my own kids, but, you know, kids that I was low-key like having a good friendship with, you know, upper years and everything.
Mhm.
And I just exposed them to so much, you know,
Information.
hate, so much. Yeah, it's just not information that I want to hide from them, but it was just from a place of just pure
Pain.
hurt and just like, yeah. And I feel like it's not that we shouldn't show it. It was just more like that is something that a kid shouldn't like be holding. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I feel like with youth leadership, like the lead team is something that you have to deal with, and you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to also consider as much as like yourself. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Because at the end
you
of the
can't
day,
be protective of yourself either.
Yeah.
And everything. You know what I mean? So like with lead team, you have to trust them, and you have to trust to be authentic with them as well.
Not easy thing
Yeah,
to do.
it's not an
Yeah.
easy thing, and trust me, like
100%.
yeah, when I say it, it's like and to be not personal with your kids is not easy thing too, because like you're with them all the time more than not and everything.
You have
so
to. That's discipleship.
yeah, so you have to find that balance, and I think that it's through mentorship and everything, and I feel like just having that, pretty much like, Jara was like, also like I was getting advice from him, and he was calling me out on like some things. You need that. You pretty much need that from your past. And you need that from your own walk as well. And I feel like your walk will eventually like help with your relationship with your kids and everything. But yeah, it's just a whole bunch of things that you have to consider when it comes to youth as well.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Before you share your point, I'm going to share mine because I'm just adding on to a point that he brought up, which I really liked. And I just want to say it before I forget, because I just grabbed the back.
That's cool.
But it's when you said that, you got to be careful of your own actions, right? And it's true, because what people tend to forget is that you can't just do like these things and keep it secret. You know what I mean? Like when I talk about things, I'm talking about things you shouldn't be doing, right? I'm talking about like what's done in the dark will find a way to shine, right? And that will come through. That will come through your actions. It will flow through. Like your connect group. Like, why isn't it growing? Why is there so much conflict? You gotta look at yourself as well, because sometimes you're not in the right place. You know what I mean? Sometimes it manifests in that way when there's a sin in your life that you're continually feeding. And you're wondering why, like, all of a sudden, all these kids in your group are dealing with the same thing. You gotta fix yourself first, because it's top down.
Yeah.
So I think that was a good point. I just thought I would just add to that.
There was something.
I'm sorry. Did you lose it? Did you lose it?
No, something about like just being spiritually aligned is important.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you think like you're not gonna make mistakes in your leadership, like, then
that's already a mistake.
Wrong.
Yeah,
that's
you
already
are
a mistake.
so wrong.
Because I'm like,
it's not sunshine and rainbows.
like we all like make mistakes, and I think it's also a humbling experience. Humbling experience. Sorry, a humbling experience. And I think we have to also remember that it's an ongoing thing as well.
Oh yeah.
Because as we walk in our journey, in our faith, there's always going to be, a new like revelation and a new thing to like conquer, and to just like, I think one of the things that I also, I guess treasure, is also like being a leader. Also, like you also have to, not saying like to be like all completely vulnerable, to actually also in a way show like the fact that you are also a broken human being who needs Lord Jesus Christ as your like savior.
100%.
Like, because I think there are times that we forget that like at the end of the day, like we're not making them to be in a specific way that they won't fall, because at the end of the day we have to know like they're going to have their own journey and they will fall. Not to pray over them, but
God
you know what I mean?
God forbid.
But I mean, like, we're all just human beings, but like how to actually remind them that when they have that crack and when they have those things that they struggle with, like they are still loved, and they like the grace of God is new every morning and all that. Like, I think that's also something that I kind of like have to remind myself. To not be stuck in that performance.
And honestly, like, we talk about performance, we talk about things we need to look out for, but I think at the end of the day, like, going back to my point about being present is also being relatable. But like, I like your point. It's like showing that we're just as broken as they are. I feel like that's where, because we're talking about youth, we're talking about relationship. And like it's so hard to like find a person that's older and like has experience, but also is just as broken as you. And for me to be able to relate to them and be like, hey man, like, I understand. Hey man, like, I might not know the answers, but I can journey with you. I think that's the base of everything, to journey with them. Not having the right answers. For goodness sake, like, I would love all the right answers, but I would love to get to know them more than give them the right answers and let them go free. I would love to,
I feel that.
Walk with them and actually like get to know them, and not only that, but help them have a relationship with God where they're in safer hands than what you have in the first place.
That's really good. That's another mistake actually I just realized. It's like every time you have a one-on-one with one of the youth, you always go in thinking like, I gotta impart something to them. I have to feel them.
How's your devotions? Oh, dude, you gotta really work on
but
that.
it's like what you said. You just gotta be present. You gotta journey with them.
And one of the things that someone told me, actually Sharon told me this. It's like, if you have a relationship with God, like, just tell them what God is saying to you in that season. Like, let your cup be overflowed and actually share that with your kids.
That's really good.
Even though sometimes the issues they can't relate, and with me, I'm like 27. I'm like maybe sometimes like it's a different issue, but like there's a way to communicate that, and I think like at the end of the day, like what we are also like what God is also saying in our season
exactly,
is important,
and that's the main part because it's to show them God in our lives.
Correct.
Yeah.
But
all right.
I mean,
like we could go on.
I mean,
Yeah,
look,
we
okay.
can go on.
I just wanted to ask this one last question, okay? But
What's
I
the
know
time? Okay.
it's fine. It's a good conversation. I feel like I'm enjoying this.
I would love
you
to
guys.
put a poll if people like have watched this to just or like a question sticker or whatever.
I mean,
Instagram
look,
to
we
us,
could
so,
we could definitely talk about this again.
yeah.
With Nick and Yewan in the room.
Yeah.
And see what their thoughts and opinions are. I mean, Nick and I have if not the same experience in youth ministry, so like this question would probably be more relevant to us. But I think I'm just curious to see for you guys, why are you still here? Why are you still youth leading?
I think it's a good point. I was like,
even though you just started.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up like we think that the journey is from because I started year 7. You would think I would end high school or something. Sometimes the journey can end like pretty in the middle, and like the calling, like maybe God can call you elsewhere. Why am I here still now? I think because God's not finished yet. I think not to say it's so early that why would you be finished so quickly? It's just it's like I think God's still revealing stuff in my life. God's still working on things in my life, and I feel like it's just getting good. That's what He's telling me.
Okay,
that's what's really like
that's good.
Getting me going. That Ethan, like it's just getting good. Like I have so much more planned for you, and not only that, but the kids are starting to get the minds moving because I'm doing year 8s now, and I feel like they're really starting to have that relationship. And man, I'm so keen and to see like what they do with themselves, what they do with God, because they can move mountains with it.
Yeah,
and I just want to be able to watch it, and watch and be in awe of like what He can do. With my kids. Yeah. So that's why I'm still there, just to see. What God's really gonna do, good or bad, really. Just
cool.
But still keen.
You're expectant. That's good. Yeah, awesome, bro.
What about you, Adinda?
Adinda.
For me, I think I really do believe in our Gen Z. I really do believe that God's gonna use this next generation in another way that we all cannot imagine just yet. I feel like even though for me, it's still, I mean, it's interesting because I actually just kind of started going back to youth, right? Even though it's only 1.5 years, but damn, I feel like I've been here for quite a while.
Well, it's the same as him. That's crazy, actually.
For quite a while. With the amount of to be honest, truly, like God has really been in the midst of me just serving with Jara, Nick, Yewan, like of the 4 of us. Sometimes I'm like,
and Gabe's, he's kind of there.
Yeah,
he's a new dad.
I don't know how we do this. Like, I'm sometimes still amazed by how God is moving in this youth. But I guess for me, it's really that conviction that like all the sacrifices that we are doing now is nothing compared to what God has for us. That is my conviction. And I guess when I just receive all His goodness and miracles over miracles, I cannot help but to do something. Like I cannot help.
You can't just stand and watch.
I can't just, even though I promised myself, like when I move to Perth, I'm just gonna blend in the background. That's what I told myself. I'm just gonna be that person in the background. I don't want to do anything with, any kind of ministries, not just youth, but any kind of ministries. I kind of like told that to myself. And that's going to be another story. But and like here I am 1.5 years. Wait, 1.5? No, 1-ish.
Oh,
wait,
wow.
Cam last year. Damn, it's actually only been a year.
Oh, wow.
In Zion, yeah.
A year.
Yeah.
Damn, rookie.
But I feel like it's in ages.
I've been in the game longer than you.
Yeah, damn.
It's crazy, bro.
I mean, just Zion, yeah. Because I just moved to Perth.
Okay, we're name dropping now.
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, I know most people know what church we go to, but...
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
You can censor that.
Nah, I'm not doing that.
But yeah.
Cool. Okay, that's cool. The conviction's there.
But the real question is, why is this decade dinosaur's still here.
Yeah.
Why are you still here,
What's it
Jared?
the vet.
Oh man, I ask myself that every morning when I pray to God.
Every morning I wake up.
Every time I walk into this building, I'm like, why am I still here? But I mean, like it's been a pretty rocky the last 3 years in this youth group for me, because there's a lot of up and down in terms of like direction of what am I doing here?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those thoughts come to mind. It's like, I've given so much, like why am I here? And then it's just like what Dinda said, you know, it's like you can't just stand and watch. You know, you see something and you just like, I need to do something, you know? I feel that. But at the core of why I'm still here and what I'm doing, of what I've come to know, is that it's just out of obedience. I just feel that God hasn't called me out of it just yet.
Yep.
I think He's right now working on how it might look different in the next coming years. But as far as I go from here, it's like I wanted to leave last year. I
remember that.
I really did.
We had that conversation.
I wanted to leave so bad, but I had no peace. You know, I was in a way manipulating God's will for me. You know, I was like, oh, you know, like you kind of justify. I've done all this. It's
actually crazy to think
you know?
that was like last year.
It was just
those
last year.
Conversations.
But God's been doing a deep work
Memories,
in me.
No, for real.
Yeah.
Bro.
But yeah, I was very bent on leaving. Like we had many conversations. I even
Many
told Nick at one point, I'm gone, bro. Like you're not going to see me anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
But I just towards the end of the year, I was just thinking about it some more, and I was like, yeah, no, I feel like God still has a place for me here. I'm still called to be in this place. And I still stand by what I feel like my personal conviction for this specific youth group is to hold and maintain. That's the words I got. The feeling I get in terms of this youth group, you know, it's just to hold it on just for the new guys to come up, you know. As far as, you know, looking at it now, we've still got some time. Actually, it's a bit, I don't know what's going on. But we won't disclose that information. But yeah, it's just obedience. That's just basically it. I'm just here because God has told me to. Well, hasn't said anything else. And it's just what I read in my devotions this morning. Actually, was, you know, if you can teach. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm still here.
Yeah,
it's good.
that's true.
Okay.
But okay, you know, that went a lot deeper than I thought it would.
Yeah.
Well, youth is
initially it was going to be a chill one.
Yeah, youth is.
I mean, it was still kind of chill. I wasn't stressing, but
youth is a very complex thing.
We could.
There's so much little subtopics.
So many subtopics.
About,
mentorship,
whatever, like ministry, but
for real.
The root of it is like, God's gonna call you to it maybe, and like, we're just here to just say our experience about how God has still put us in here.
Yeah, you've clicked on this video or episode because you're curious about it or thinking about stepping into it or is going through it right now. So you're one of the three. Or you're just going through the episodes because you're loyal. But yeah, I mean, it was real fun to talk about this topic. I mean, I don't know why we haven't thought about talking about this.
I know, right?
But you know, it was actually prompted because of this person that actually messaged us and said, you should talk more about youth stuff. Shout out Josh.
Shout out.
I mean, I don't know your surname, but you know, he's another
you know
guy.
Who you are.
Yeah, he found us on TikTok. You know, I mean, if you're listening, shout out to you, man. And yeah, I want to talk about this more because I feel like this is something that we just love talking about. And maybe we could talk about it more chill next time. And maybe we have more specific topics, you know. But I hope that you guys can, like, you know, reach out to us and let us know whether you enjoy this or not. But either way, I feel like God has put us in these situations, and you know, we have to share these experiences somehow with you guys. So I think from now on we will be covering some youth type topics, and that's it.
Right.
That's the episode, guys. You know, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you guys, and we wish you all the best. God bless, and stay fresh. Oh, that rhymed. Cool.